Have you ever noticed how setting boundaries makes some people unreasonably upset? For narcissists, boundaries aren't just inconvenient. They're a direct challenge to their control and manipulation.
I never said that. You're really going to make a big deal about that? Wow, you're so sensitive. You know nobody else would put up with you like I do, right?
If you've ever felt selfish for standing your ground, this video is for you. Let's explore how toxic people twist your boundaries and learn how to protect yourself, starting with their sneakiest trick. 1. They play the victim. One of the most common ways narcissists will manipulate your boundaries is by playing the victim.
The first thing to recognize with an adult child who's a narcissist is boundaries don't work. By definition, narcissists are abusive, okay? And all abusers, by definition, don't respect boundaries. So you can go, I encourage everyone to learn about codependence and setting boundaries and all of that. But the key to remember is you're dealing with an abusive person. Boundaries won't work with them. They will trample them because they don't see them, they don't honor them, they don't respect them, they don't think they matter. Because especially in the case of a narcissist, everything's about them. So who cares about your boundaries? Unless they're an advantage to me, I don't even notice them.
When you set a boundary, whether it's about your time, emotional energy, or even your personal space, they'll quickly flip the narrative. Instead of respecting your needs, they guilt trip you with lines like, "I thought we were a team. You're hurting me by doing this." It's a calculated move to make you feel responsible for their emotions. For example, you might tell them, "I need some time for myself." Instead of honoring that, they say, "If you loved me, you wouldn't push me away." Here's how you can stop this. Recognize the guilt trap for what it is, which is a tool for manipulation. When this happens, reaffirm your boundary calmly but firmly. You might say something like, "I care about you, but taking this time for myself is essential for my well-being." This not only reinforces your boundaries, but also shows that you value yourself enough to make your needs a priority. The thing is, true partnerships thrive on mutual respect, and narcissists are not about respect. They're about control. They don't want to share power, and setting boundaries takes away that power. When you stand firm in your limits, they see it as a threat. But the golden rule is that you don't have to abandon your boundaries to prove your love or loyalty.
A narcissistic person doesn't care about your feelings. They don't care about your experience because why would they? It's their experience that matters, right? Your perspective isn't important to them. And worse, if you're feeling hurt or disconnected or lonely,
remember that the right people will always respect your limits and see them as a sign of trust and care, not as an attack. They gaslight you. The guilt tripping is just one piece of the puzzle. Let's move on to a more insidious tactic, which is gaslighting. It is a go-to weapon for narcissists. It is the act of twisting the truth so that you start doubting your own reality. You might think you've communicated your boundaries clearly, but the narcissist will twist your words or deny what was said, and suddenly you're second-guessing yourself. Did you really explain it clearly? Are you overreacting? This tactic serves two purposes: bypassing your boundaries and making you doubt your reality. For instance, imagine you say, "I don't want to discuss work during dinner." They might agree initially, but the next time they bring it up and you remind them, they'll claim, "You never said that." So here's how you can stop this. Keep a record of your boundaries, whether in writing or texts, to avoid confusion. Trust your memory and remember, you don't owe anyone endless explanations. Stick to your truth. If they twist your words, disengage from their narrative and simply respond with, "I'm clear about what I said, and I'm sticking to it." Gaslighting is all about making you feel unstable, but when you stand firm in your truth, their power diminishes. Speaking of power, let's explore how narcissists use accusations to try and take control. 3. They accuse you of being controlling. As soon as you start enforcing boundaries, narcissists may flip the script and accuse you of being controlling. It's their way of shifting attention away from their behavior and onto yours. This is called projection. They'll say things like, "You're the one ruining this relationship. No one else would tolerate your controlling ways." But don't buy into it, they're baiting you into a fight. Narcissists thrive on conflict because it gives them the illusion of control. They want you to react so they can twist the situation and make it seem like you're the one who's in the wrong. And if you engage with them, you'll only end up in a cycle of blame, with them casting themselves as the victim and you as the villain. The best way to handle this tactic is by refusing to take the bait. Don't argue, don't defend yourself, just stay calm and keep your boundaries intact. For example, if they accuse you of being controlling, you can simply say, "I'm sorry you feel that way, but this is really important to me." By responding calmly, you disarm them, leaving them no room to escalate the situation. Projection is a common defense mechanism used by narcissists, but it loses its grip when you stay grounded. 4. They shame you for having boundaries. Next, let's talk about another emotional tactic they use. Shame is a deeply personal and powerful tool, and narcissists know exactly how to wield it. They will often shame you for setting boundaries, trying to make you feel guilty for putting yourself first. They might say things like, "You're so selfish," or "I can't believe you'd hurt me like this." But the thing is, boundaries are not selfish. In fact, they're the opposite. They're an essential part of self-care and self-respect. And the narcissists will try to turn your self-care into something negative. They want to make you feel like you don't deserve the right to protect your time, energy, or emotions. They'll try to make you feel like you're abandoning them or being unfair. For example, if you say, "I can't lend you money anymore," they might respond, "After everything I've done for you, this is how you repay me." But remember, when you set boundaries, you're prioritizing your own well-being, and that's not only necessary, it's healthy. Shaming might chip away at your confidence, but there's another tactic that strikes even deeper, which is blaming you for the fallout of their own actions. 5. They twist the consequences of boundaries. Let's take a closer look at how they twist the consequences of your boundaries. They will act like your limits are the reason they're experiencing negative consequences in their life. For example, if you refuse to pick them up after a night of drinking and something bad happens, they might say, "If you really cared, this wouldn't have happened." This is designed to make you feel guilty and responsible for their poor choices. But the truth is, you are not responsible for their actions. They are. To stop this, first, detach emotionally by reminding yourself that their actions are not your fault.
The biggest weapon that you can ever use against a covert narcissist is your absolute emotional indifference, which means you need to stop caring for them. Why? Because it's your caring nature that they take advantage of. They weaponize it against you and use it to extract maximum supply. Whenever you try to hold the covert narcissist accountable, or you say something to them which is absolute truth and you want them to realize that they have done something wrong, instead of reflecting, they become a victim. They start crying, they start wailing, they start sobbing. They do things to make you feel guilty. They guilt trip you, and then out of your own guilt, you self-abandon, you leave your pain aside and then cater to their needs. You then try to fix their problems, and this is how they control you covertly. They get what they want without being aggressive overtly. So you need to stop that. You need to stop caring for someone who preys on you and your emotions.
Then, reframe your boundaries by focusing on your intent rather than their reaction. For instance, by telling yourself, "I'm setting this boundary because I care about myself and my safety." Setting a boundary doesn't mean you're making them act irresponsibly. It just means you're choosing not to enable their behavior anymore. Narcissists hate this because it means they lose the ability to control your actions and reactions. But you're not there to fix them or protect them from the consequences of their decisions. You're there to protect yourself and maintain your own peace. Recognizing healthy boundaries. That's why recognizing healthy boundaries is so important.
Yeah, but you can't set boundaries with a narcissist. Well, you can, but they're not going to respect them. That's exactly my point. How do you set boundaries with someone who has no interest in respecting them? Well, we don't need someone else's permission to enforce our own boundaries, right? No, you don't need their permission, but your boundary is just going to get walked on. Yeah, that's true. So what is your position? That we shouldn't be setting boundaries with narcissistic people? No, my argument is it doesn't matter what you say, they're just going to do whatever they want anyways. Yeah, I completely agree with you. And we also need to remember that that type of behavior completely fractures the trust and connection in the relationship. Right, but they don't care about any of that. They're just going to end up blaming you. That's why sometimes you just have to go no contact. True, but that's a boundary. What? Going no contact is actually the perfect example of a boundary. They don't need to agree with it for you to establish and uphold it, right? Huh, I never thought about it that way. Because you're absolutely right. Some people will always take advantage of us, but it's up to us to understand that we don't owe anyone unlimited access of our time, energy, or bodies. That's true. And the right people for us actually want to know your limits and needs and boundaries.
Remember that boundaries aren't ultimatums or acts of revenge. They're not about punishing others. They're about deciding how you will engage with certain situations. When someone disrespects your time, you can choose not to engage. If a conversation turns toxic, you have the right to walk away. If someone violates your privacy, you can remove access. The key to maintaining healthy boundaries is consistency. Narcissists will test them, hoping you'll cave. But standing your ground shows that you won't tolerate disrespect. You deserve relationships that are built on mutual respect, not manipulation or control. That's all for today. If this video helped you, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more tips.